text.
What's up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. It's nice and rainy outside in Milwaukee. Love to see it. But conference championship weekend.
All right.
Down to 4. Going to get down to 2. And then it's a 2-week wait. But, yeah, we'll talk conference championships at the end. There's like a million news things going on. College kind of winding down right now because everyone's back in school. So a little bit difficult to transfer right now until the new window opens. And UFL, we got free agency rolling, training camp right around the corner for that. And for NFL, we got finalists for the major awards. Be handed out next Saturday or next Thursday. And or whatever, two Thursdays from now. I don't know what I'm saying. 2 Thursdays from now. And then, yeah, the coaching carousel has been heating up. This week was pretty crazy for that. Coordinators and head man jobs. So, yeah, college-wise, transfer portal, not really a lot going on, like I said, but San Jose State wide receiver Nick Nash originally entered the portal. He has now withdrawn his name from the portal, going to run it back with the Spartans, and their new head coach, which I believe is former Navy head coach Ken Niumatalolo. Yeah. Ken Niumatalolo, now the new head coach of San Jose State. So Nick Nash, big keep for him. Ohio quarterback Gunnar Gundy, former Oklahoma State quarterback as well. He has re-entered the portal. Not really sure why, but he will not be playing for the Bobcats this fall. I don't know. Maybe he wants to go back. Maybe he saw the grass wasn't greener on the other side, and he just wants to go back and be with Dad at OK State. So we'll see. Son of Mike Gundy there. And then Washington quarterback Will Rogers. He has withdrawn from the portal. Likes what he has heard from new head coach Jed Fish, apparently. So he will stay, and he will more than likely be the Husky starter coming up this fall. What up, Logan?
Hello.
We just talked about the couple transfer portal things going on. Not really major, but some decisions. And like I said, Nick Nash, great keep for new head coach Ken Niumatalolo there, San Jose State. Gunnar Gundy, maybe he wants to go back with his dad to OK State. And then Will Rogers apparently likes what he's been hearing from new head coach Jed Fish there in Seattle. So one Senior Bowl edition. It's a good one. Go Dogs. Georgia running back Dejon Edwards headed to Mobile as those practices start up this week with the Senior Bowl coming up next weekend. UFL news. We have a trade. The Birmingham Stallions, they get defensive back Bubba Bolden, former Miami Hurricane there. Draft pick of, I can't remember. Last NFL team he was with was the Browns last year. And they traded defensive back Elijah Holder to the San Antonio Brahmas. So DB for DB trade there. Holder, I believe, played for the Sea Dragons last year. Not 100% on that, but yeah. So trade this offseason. How about this nugget that I caught on the UFL newsfeed? Showboat's head coach. Why am I blanking on his name? John DiFilippo. He he reached out apparently and said, "Yeah, why not? They have interest in former Bengals wide receiver Chad Ochocinco. He is 46 years old." Ocho has apparently put out there in the sphere that he would want to play for the UFL. So that's what some people. It hasn't really been a big discussion, but some people are asking, can he actually play still? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, if T.O. can play till he's 50, why can't Ocho?
I was just going to say we should kick the tires on T.O.
But yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see it. It'd be a good thing, I think. Get the UFL some fanfare, but I don't know. The Roughnecks, kind of surprising. They released quarterback Kenji Bahar. He was slated to be their starter, the former Gamblers quarterback, as the, like I've said multiple times since the merger, the Roughnecks name being put onto the Gamblers roster. They claimed Brahma's quarterback Reed Sinnett off waivers. So assuming Sinnett's going to be in line to start now for Houston under head coach Wade Phillips there. Free agency, a lot of stuff going on with the UFL teams, re-signings and free agent signings. So the Arlington Renegades, they signed Guardians running back Devin Darrington, Sea Dragons running back Morgan Ellison, Bills linebacker Markel Lee, Vipers defensive end LaRon Stokes, Panthers, that's Carolina Panthers wide receiver Matt Landers, and they re-signed wide receiver Javante Payton, linebacker Colin Schooler, wide receiver Tyler Vaughns, linebacker Donald Payne, and wide receiver Luwan Winningham. A lot of these signings are draft pick signings that the guys that they drafted in either their own leagues dispersal draft, the USFL, XFL dispersal drafts, or the super dispersal draft where you could draft anyone from either league that was available. So I haven't really designated which guys are draft picks and which aren't, but the DC Defenders, my DC Defenders, they signed UAB wide receiver Trey Shropshire, former Chiefs and Giants first-round pick defensive back DeAndre Baker, last played in the NFL in 2021 with the Chiefs. Yeah, so their secondary is loaded right now. Like, they have, I think I have my UFL roster sheet up here. Yeah, with Baker, they have all XFL corner Michael Joseph coming back. DeJuan Neal was a starter with them last year. They got Isaiah Johnson back from the last year as well. And then they got Adam Sparks from the Vipers. They signed former first-round pick Gary Conley as well. So, yeah, their corner room is stacked. I mean, the safeties as well. Santos Ramirez, Kentrell Bryce returning, Monte Nicholson, Deontay Anderson they got from the Vipers, DJ Swearinger as well. Re-signing with DC, offensive tackle Tommy Champion, linebacker Farad Gardner, center Michael Mayetti, kicker Matthew McCrane, defensive back DeJuan Neal, defensive back Santos Ramirez, defensive lineman Joe Wallace, guard Liam Fornadell. With the Houston Roughnecks, they signed former Ravens quarterback Nolan Henderson, Delaware Blue Hen there, so good prospect. And they also signed Brahma's offensive tackle Norman Price. My Memphis Showboats signing Vipers linebacker Max Roberts and Maulers quarterback Troy Williams. So that's a big get for Coach DiFilippo there in Memphis. Williams leading the Pittsburgh Maulers to the USFL championship game last year. Dynamic quarterback. We'll see what he looks like in Showboat's colors this season. San Antonio Brahmas, they signed Roughnecks running back Bryson Aline and re-signed linebacker Drew Beasley, defensive back Ryan Lewis, and defensive lineman Delonte Scott. And the St. Louis Battlehawks, they signed Roughnecks offensive tackle Sage Doxtater, Brahmas defensive back Cameron Kelly, former Bears kicker and Syracuse kicker Andre Schmidt, Sea Dragons defensive back Quinterio Cole, Roughnecks linebacker John Daka, Sea Dragons wide receiver Blake Jackson, and then they re-signed offensive tackle Jawan Bushell-Beatty, guard Steven Gonzalez, punter Sterling Hofrichter, linebacker Lakeem Williams, and guard Vidal Alexander, and tight end Jake Sutherland. Height. Almost 2 months out from game one. March 31st, I believe, is the first game. Camp's opening soon. All right, NFL time. So it's time to make some picks. Even though I didn't make any slides for them, but I guess I'll note them down with my trusty pen. So, awards finalists. MVP, the most valuable quarterback. I should say MVQ, but anyways. Finalists for MVP. Bills quarterback Josh Allen. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. And 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. There really should only be 4. I don't understand why Dak Prescott is in this thing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Brock Purdy.
No. Purdy was, I think, better than Dak this year. Dak's the one I would not put in with those other 4, though, for 2023. I don't care if they won 12 games. And he threw for a bunch of yards. But anyways, since Jimmy spoke, go ahead. Who is your MVP?
I think, I have who I think it should be and who it's actually going to be.
Who are you picking? That's who we care about.
It's going to be Lamar Jackson. That's who's going to win. It should be Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion. I think he's more valuable to the 49ers' success than anything else. But as you mentioned, it's an MVQ award, so it's going to go to Lamar Jackson.
Logan?
Yeah, I got my boy Lamar.
Yeah. I unfortunately am picking Lamar because that's who's going to win. I will make a case for Josh Allen, though. I have been making a case the last 2 weeks till they got eliminated the last week. But he led the league in total touchdowns. Just saying. Like, you got to score to win the game. So that's all I got. 46 total touchdowns, I think, in the regular season.
Yeah, I think the correct ranking in terms of voting, it should be, in my opinion, Lamar Jackson, McCaffrey, Allen. I don't think Prescott or Purdy really have an argument in comparison to those 3. But I think final voting will probably come down to that 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I just don't like when they went to this I don't know when it was, and they moved to 5. I like the 3 because, 5 seems like too many.
Yeah, 3 just looks cleaner.
Yeah. Because, even now with the Heisman, they do 4. I'm like, bro, why do you need 4? 3 was fine. We used to do 3 all the time. We're like, no, we got to be inclusive. We got to add more people. Everyone gets a Heisman, right? Everyone can get an MVP. It's fine. Offensive player of the year. Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. CMC, baby. I should have worn my Christian McCaffrey jersey today. But I will make some dough if CMC does win OPOY. So I'm in. Give me CMC.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think this will be his consolation prize for getting passed up on MVP is getting OPOY. I mean, I think it's super obvious. CMC was just a dog. Like everything about the way he played really just upgraded this 49ers offense and made them genuinely the offensive juggernaut that they are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think Tyreek had a case for a lot of the season, but I think that McCaffrey was just so consistent throughout that I think he gets it.
Yeah, that injury to Tyreek really kind of took a hit to his case.
Yeah, I believe CMC led the league in total touchdowns among non-quarterbacks. I was disappointed, though. I understand they kind of have to do it, but I would have liked them to take Lamar off of the offensive player of the year and put Jeff Wilson in. Jeff Wilson had 21 rushing touchdowns, broke the Dolphins single season record. I mean, again, I'm lobbying for touchdown scores, but it's hard to argue with a 20 touchdown season. So I would, like I said, I don't think Jeff Wilson would have won had he been on the list, but I'm just like, I think Jeff Wilson deserves to be on the list over Lamar when Lamar's already in the MVP and more than likely going to win MVP. Defensive player of the year. You got Cowboys corner Deron Bland, Raiders defensive end Max Crosby, Browns defensive end Myles Garrett, Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons, and Steelers linebacker TJ Watt. Logan.
Yeah, this one is tough. This one's probably the toughest one. I think that I'm going to go with TJ. And it really just has to go to, like, I felt like him and Myles Garrett were neck and neck, like, throughout the whole season. But their two final games, Watt had the much bigger impact. So I think that's where he gets the edge. And he also has kind of the volume stats that the voters are usually looking at. So,
yeah, I'm going to agree with TJ Watt, but I'm going to completely disagree. This isn't a race. I think this is obvious. It's TJ Watt. And also, pardon my language, but what the fuck are these two Cowboys doing on this list? Micah Parsons was genuinely not great, and Darren Bland could not play coverage to save his life. You cannot tell me with a straight face that Micah Parsons had a better year than Danielle Hunter. Unbelievable. What the fuck are these Cowboys doing on this list? Anyway, my tangent's done. TJ Watt wins handily. But yeah, what, like, you Rusty, you were upset with Dak. Dak in the MVP conversation. I think it's more of a crime that these two Cowboys are in the conversation, because that is just, what the hell? No way.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm picking TJ Watt. Led the league in sacks, 19. Led it by 1.5 over Trey Hendrickson, Josh Allen. Yeah, for a good part of the year, your guy Danielle was in the conversation, kind of fell off there, ended up 2.5 sacks off the lead in 5th place there behind those three that I mentioned and Khalil Mack.
Still, I think led the league in tackles for loss.
I don't know. I only saw the sack numbers. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it was really close. Deron Bland, now, if you said defensive player of the year at the midway point, Deron Bland, easily. The pick 6 record, I mean, yeah, that alone was ridiculous. But fell off tremendously. I don't even think he had a pick in the second half of the season. So yeah, I think it was between Watt, Garrett, like Logan said, but yeah, Watt is my guy. Of course, I'm picking him. Coach of the year. I think this is the toughest one. I think Coach of the year is the most difficult one to pick. And it is a travesty. Mike Tomlin should be on this freaking list. Okay? The job that he did to get that team to a 10-win season after they lost back-to-back at home to 3-win teams. They won one out. They got three in a row. And I mean, if they have TJ Watt, maybe they win in Buffalo. Who knows? But yeah, I think Mike Tomlin should be on this list.
I don't know. I think losing to 2-3-win teams is a strike against you. I mean, you should win those games, you know.
Whatever. Anyways, I am going to go with Dan Campbell. He is my guy. I've had the blue background up for the last couple shows in support of the Lions. And I don't know, it's tough, but I think the job that he has done specifically this year, 12 wins, cusp of the Super Bowl, Dan Campbell.
I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to go Texans head coach DeMeco Ryan. I think the turnaround you saw with the Lions was pretty impressive, but the turnaround with the Texans to me is so dramatic, and it really does fall on DeMeco Ryan's shoulders. I mean, coming in and having a rookie QB is always tough. Rookie QBs have a huge learning curve, and we saw in the preseason, CJ Stroud really struggled, but I credit, I mean, not only DeMeco Ryan, but also Bobby Slowick. But I mean, DeMeco Ryan, I give a lot of credit. He took this team that was the second worst team in the NFL and brought them to the playoffs and got them a playoff win. I mean, and they didn't play horribly against Baltimore. And Baltimore, a lot of people would say, me included, is the best team in the NFL. And they stuck around in the playoffs. I think this should be DeMeco. I think he really impressed me this year. He had a lot of moving parts, a lot of young players, and he led them to a playoff, not only playoff berth, but a playoff win. You know, winning your division, you know, coming back and winning your division, stealing it from the Jaguars, coming in, facing a team you already lost previously in the season to in the Cleveland Browns, and then turning around and just absolutely smacking them around in the wild card round. I think it's DeMeco. That's who I would pick.
I think Logan is picking Matt LaFleur.
Well,
No,
I mean, you got
Barry.
off your homer take. I might as well try and get off mine. I mean, one of the youngest teams in NFL history, he can't even get a nomination. I mean, what's Kyle Shanahan doing up here coaching the Avengers, man? I mean, there's no holes on that roster.
I did forget to say what the list was. Dan Campbell, John Harbaugh, DeMeco Ryans, Kyle Shanahan, Kevin Stefanski. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyways, I think they're going to go with Dan Campbell, and I don't think he's necessarily undeserving. You know, it's just going to be the whole story of, you know, turning around the Lions and then making a playoff push. I think these are always narrative-driven awards, and I think they're going to go with that. But I agree with you, Jimmy, that I think if I were, like, voting, I would go with DeMeco Ryans. I mean, the Texans, I mean, you're talking about a bottom-of-the-barrel franchise that was all of a sudden competing, like, right away, like at the start of the season. And then, you know, they weren't just like a, you know, make-a-wish wild card team. Like they you know, they go, they win their division and they knock around the Browns. So yeah, good for them. And I think, you know, DeMeco Ryans is very much deserving of it.
Yeah, I think the only other one in contention is Kevin Stefanski. I think maybe, just maybe, if they would have beaten the Texans in the wild card, Stefanski might have won it.
I agree. I do agree. I think making the playoffs and then winning a playoff game with 4 QBs would have really turned the tables in voting.
Yeah.
I mean, impressive nonetheless. You really look not just at the QB injuries, but just the general injuries the Browns faced. Making the playoffs was very impressive.
Yeah, I think the only reason that John Harbaugh and Kyle Shanahan are on this list is because they were the 1 seeds. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be a good team to make the 1 seed, and you have to have good coaching to get the 1 seed. So I don't think it's egregious.
Right, but like Logan said about Kyle Shanahan, John Harbaugh's got the same thing on defense. Like they got dudes on defense in Baltimore. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good point. But again, I don't think it's a wrong choice to nominate the number 1 seed. I guess that's all I have to argue.
Assistant coach of the year. This one gets interesting as well. So we got Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald, Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken, Browns defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, and Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick. Go, Jimmy, first.
Oh, I did not want to go first because this is genuinely the toughest.
Then let Logan go first.
Yeah.
I mean, I could try, but all right, go ahead, Logan. I'll try to figure this out.
No, I agree with you, Jimmy. I think this is the one where I think they did a really good job with the nominations. And I think you honestly could make a case for each of these guys. I think who's going to be picked is Ben Johnson. I think he's neck and neck for me in terms of deserving it with Mike McDonald, who I think has just done an exceptional job coaching that Ravens defense. And what I love is that both of those guys, their respective systems, Ben Johnson's offense and Mike McDonald's defense, are super fun to watch. Like, they're just fun units to watch. So yeah, I think Ben Johnson probably gets it, but I think that Mike McDonald is like right there too.
Yeah. I guess I can follow that up. I think I agree. I think it is Ben Johnson. I think the system he has created is very unique. I watched a YouTube video. I can't remember who made the video, but I think it was Alex Rollins. If you guys know who Alex Rollins is, he's a very good football analytics YouTuber. He did a whole video on Ben Johnson, and it was really impressive. And I think he'd be favorite. To me, second place would be Jim Schwartz, Browns defensive coordinator, because we always say, like, ooh, Browns had 4 quarterbacks and made the playoffs. It's genuinely because Jim Schwartz had an unbelievable defense.
Except on the road.
I will admit that. But wow, like, this team does not make the playoffs without Jim Schwartz. In fact, if they had the same defensive coordinator from last year, they have a worse record than they had last year. I mean, they would be genuinely terrible. I think Jim Schwartz deserves a lot of votes, but I agree with Logan. I think it goes to Ben Johnson.
I am not going Ben Johnson. I'm going guy that neither of you talked about, Bobby Slowick.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the Texans, Jimmy. I'm going with Bobby Slowick. The development that he got out of C.J. Stroud year 1, and to get that offense, I don't think a lot of people remember what happened this season with the Texans offensively. They were changing linemen out left and right. It seemed like every week they had a guy hurt. I think they probably had like 20 offensive linemen total on their roster, across the season. And then to get the production out of Devin Singletary after Dameon Pierce really stunk it up in the beginning of the year. The running game worked with Devin Singletary. He got the most out of Nico Collins, who just supernovaed this year into a star. I like Bobby Slowick, I think. And then Dalton Schultz as well. Even though Dalton Schultz was already a good player, but key free agent signing there. And worked in his offense well.
Honestly,
Offensive rookie of the year here. Lions, running back Jahmyr Gibbs. Lions tight end Sam Laporta. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua. Falcons running back Bijan Robinson. And Texans quarterback CJ Stroud. Do you want to go first this time, Jimmy?
You know, I will, because I think I'm going to have a surprise pick. I think everyone is going to expect CJ Stroud. I'm going Puka Nacua. I thought Puka had a fantastic rookie season. And I don't want to take anything away from Stroud. He was amazing. I mean, his team made the playoffs. But, I mean, so did Puka Nacua. There was a lot of questions in the Rams offense. Like, could they be better than they were last year? Will they take a step up? They didn't have any, highly touted draft picks. So, like, where would this guy come in? But here's Puka. He was a fifth rounder, right? Or was it fifth or fourth? Fifth. I knew. Fifth rounder, comes in rookie year and just breaks records, genuinely coming out of nowhere. I have a tough time not giving this kid some flowers and giving him my pick. I think the offensive rookie of the year should be Puka Nacua.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see Puka win it, but I'm going to go CJ. I just picked his offensive coordinator win assistant coach of the year, so I'm going to go with his quarterback here. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see CJ being this productive this early. You got the whole stigma about Ohio State quarterbacks and whatnot as well. But I think he was in the perfect offensive system for his skill set. And they put weapons around him in free agency. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with CJ. Highest average passing yards in the league this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with CJ too. I just think it's so impressive, just how he hit the ground running. Like, I can't remember seeing a rookie. The last time I saw a rookie kind of playing as dynamic as him, just like coming in the league and being a top 10 talent at your position. I mean, that's just extremely hard to do. It's even more hard to do at the quarterback position, and the fact he was able to do it. Just really, really helped turn that team around in like so many ways. So I'm going with him, but I liked the shout out for Puka Nacua, Jimmy, and I do think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be closer than most people think. But, I think the tie goes to the quarterback for a lot of these awards. So that's why I think.
Yeah, same with the MVP. They really do like giving it to the rookie quarterback. Like, I had the same issue, I think, 2020 between Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson. I think it should have been Jefferson, but it went to Burrow.
Defensive rookie of the year. Texans defensive end Will Anderson Jr., Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter, Steelers corner Joey Porter Jr., Rams defensive tackle Kobe Turner, and Seahawks cornerback Devon Witherspoon. Logan, you're up.
I'm going Will Anderson specifically for the preseason takes that we did to try and see if I can win that. But yeah, I think you have a really good case for him and Jalen Carter. I think both of those guys you can make the case for. But I'm going to go with the pass rusher.
Jimmy?
I'm going defensive line, but I'm picking Kobe Turner. Yes, I think the Rams are going to sweep Rookie of the Year awards. And I know here's my rationale. I know these three stats aren't the biggest, but to me, I think just the eye test just shows a lot. Kobe Turner, combined tackles 57, assist tackles 28, 9 sacks. While Will Anderson, 45 combos, 16 assists, 7 sacks, and Jalen Carter, 33 tackles, 13 assists, and only 6 sacks. I think of the 3 linemen, he's clearly the better one. And I wasn't super impressed by Porter Jr. or Devin Witherspoon. I didn't think they really blew anyone away. Honest to God, I know this is going to be a homer pick. I think Ivan Pace Jr. should have gotten some love here. As an undrafted rookie, he played really well as a rookie linebacker.
Yeah, I was hoping that you wouldn't pick Kobe so I could say something about it. He's been Peter Schrager's guy for a while now. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that both corners got on. Peter Schrager's other guy, Yaya Diaby with the Bucks, I was kind of surprised he wasn't in the finalists because he also had an excellent season. Byron Young, the other rookie on the Rams defense there, had a great season on the edge as well. But because of betting futures, I am going with Joey Porter Jr. I would make a fortune if he somehow stole it. And I mean, it's warranted that once he got comfortable, he was a little shaky early in the year. Once he got comfortable in his position, though, lockdown. He had some holdings and whatnot, but I think it's going to be a pivotal piece of the Steelers secondary for years to come. So yeah, I'm going with JPJ. Devin Witherspoon is probably like I said, him and Joey Porter, probably the two corners are the most exchangeable of the finalists for other guys that mentioned.
It's kind of crazy. You just mentioned it. Who was the safety from the Rams?
Safety?
That other.
Oh, the other linebacker, Byron Young. Yeah.
It's crazy how well the Rams drafted without like a first round pick. It's genuinely insane how good they were. Like Puka, Kobe, and that linebacker, like that's genuinely insane how well they were able to draft without a first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kudos to the Rams front office.
All right, last one. Comeback player of the year. Browns quarterback Joe Flacco. Bills safety DeMar Hamlin. Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. And Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. It is not DeMar Hamlin. I do not care. I do not care. I don't.
I think
Tua Tagovailoa. He had the best season out of all these guys, and he came back from multiple concussions last year to produce one of the best offenses in the league.
I think this award, especially this year, shows the need for also including a most improved player category because I don't like it as much as many other people agree, but it's gonna go to Hamlin. It's gonna be an emotional thing. It's gonna be heartfelt. And I get it. Like the most notable thing he did this year was a failed fake punt in a playoff game.
He wasn't even active for like the first half of the season.
I know, and I really do agree with you on this. That's why I think there should just be a most improved player alongside comeback player of the year, because then you can have comeback player of the year with guys coming off an injury. So this list would genuinely just be DeMar Hamlin and Tua Tagovailoa, and then there's more of an argument there. And then you have most improved, so you could have guys like Baker Mayfield, and I guess Joe Flacco, but I don't know if you'd call it improved if you kind of semi-retire and come back.
Joe Flacco came back off his couch.
Yeah. But it's going to go to Hamlin as much as there's a genuine argument against it, considering his lack of production on the field. But coming back from that extreme situation, I think just made it a lock for a lot of people. And it would genuinely be hard for a lot of people not to vote just for that heartfelt story. But yeah, it's going to be Hamlin, but make a most improved player, had it in next year so that we can have an injured comeback player of the year every year, and then someone that statistically makes an insane amount of improvements.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jimmy. It's just this award doesn't have a lot of criteria to go off of, and there's a lot of debate off of what it should be. And I think, I saw a tweet and I was like, yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize. Someone said, like, why wasn't John Mechie included in this? I mean, he beat leukemia and came back and had a really solid season. I mean, I'd have him over, a lot of these guys who, like their comeback story was they were bad and now they're not. Like,
I saw
like,
another tweet where like people were saying like, why was Brees Hall snubbed? Like, Brees Hall came back from a torn ACL, and I think what was it, 4th in yards from scrimmage this year, something like that. To me, if I had my way, there'd be comeback player of the year, most improved. Comeback player of the year, it would be Hamlin, Hall, Mechie, and Tua, and then you would have Flacco, Mayfield, and Stafford in most improved. Because then you have 3 guys that were either like had a bad year and came back from a bad year to improve, and then you had 4 guys that came back from either debilitating injuries or situations, that you can make an argument for. And I think that satisfies every party. And I think this year should like wake up the NFL to be like, okay, we can add improved player so that we're not stuck in this weird situation where we don't have a defined definition of what a comeback player is. We can have comeback player of the year, we can have most improved, and we have that, and it makes sense.
I think even though the team's success wasn't there, I would replace either Stafford or Flacco with Kyler Murray, though. Kyler Murray also coming off torn ACL, played excellently, even for a 4-win team. I don't know. I think that Kyler should have been included over either Stafford or Flacco because, like I said, Flacco came back from his couch, and Stafford, what did he come back from? Nothing.
I think just a couple injuries.
Baker makes sense. He came back from obscurity, pretty much. Not a great year last year with 2 different teams.
That's why he would win, in my opinion. He would win most improved player. Like if they had a most improved player award, I think he would get that.
Yeah.
And that would make a lot of sense.
Tua should win, though. All right. So we got our picks in for the awards there. Like I said, 2 weeks from now. Coaching carousel, a lot of stuff going on. The Packers, they fired defensive coordinator Joseph Barry.
No!
Go, Logan. Go.
Yeah, I like it. To me, it was just too inconsistent. I mean, this was year 3. He really came back on the premise of like, we showed some promise in year 2, and like year 3 would be the year, and it was just super uneven. And I was shocked to see people still defending him like all the way up until like last week. Yes, he coached some really good games this year against some really good teams, and he deserves a ton of credit for that. He also coached a ton of bad games against some really bad teams that cost us some wins down the line and made things more exciting than they needed to be. So I think it was definitely time for a change. Apparently, like the word is from the Packers beat is that he's like literally like one of the nicest people alive. Like he's just a super nice guy, and that's great. Like more power to him. Hopefully he lands on his feet, and it sounds like he's going to. I think he has some interviews with some teams coming up, but I think it was just time,
Come on, Bears.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. The playoffs were really solid on his part, despite giving up, 32 to the Cowboys. But a lot of that playing off coverage, didn't really have to defend because you're up by so much. And then 49ers game, that was tough. Giving up the score late and then having to go for the tie. But yeah, I mean, Packers have some pieces on defense. See if whoever they bring in, can get those pieces to work the right way. Dolphins, they are also looking for a new defensive coordinator. They mutually parted ways with defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. That was his choice. He has now found a home very quickly in Philadelphia, which I can't tell you how excited I am to have Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator. This man is a beast. Everywhere he's gone, his defenses have been stellar. With the Rams, he was the head coach of the Broncos. The Dolphins defense also this year was very good. And he did a really good job down the stretch with not very many pieces. Like, they literally were picking up guys for that playoff game in Kansas City on the defensive line because they didn't have any healthy bodies. So the way that he coached the Dolphins, I'm super hyped to get him in Philadelphia. I think with the pieces that the Eagles have on defense, I think Vic Fangio should be able to get the best out of them. Head coaches. It was crazy. We have 4 head coach hirings this week. That was half of the total openings to start the offseason. So the Titans, they have found their head man. Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan is the new guy in Nashville. Touted for his work with Joe Burrow the last couple of years, but he's also worked with Matthew Stafford as well before. And I can't remember the list of other guys that he's worked with. But excellent play caller. And we'll see. We'll see if he can get the most out of Will Levis.
Does this mean they're going to take Neighbors over Joe Alt?
No.
I think this is a clear change in philosophical direction for the Titans. They went from a defensive-minded head coach in Vrabel to now offensive-minded head coach in Callahan. I think the big question, obviously, mostly just revolves around Will Levis. Is Will Levis Callahan's guy? And like Logan, you mentioned, will they take Neighbors as like, okay, going to get this kid some weapons? Because you have D-Hop. He's a veteran, and he was good once Levis came in to start, but you need more than D-Hop, especially D-Hop, in his later stage of his career. So very interesting. I kind of like this hire for the Titans. It's a change in philosophical direction, and we'll see how it works.
Yeah, and they had to go offense. They needed someone to develop Will Levis and probably take the Titans offense into the non-Derrick Henry era. We'll see if that means moving toward a more Bengals offense, which is the passing attack more often than the running. But I don't know. But yeah, no, they're going offensive line round 1. There's plenty of wide receivers you can get in round 2. Chargers. They hired Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh, 5-year deal, and Harbaugh leaves Michigan 89-25, 40-3 in the last 3 years, 3 Big Ten titles, AP Coach of the Year in 2021. Of course, the national championship this year, all tainted. Just saying. Especially that 40-3 record the last 3 years. Wonder why that occurred, but what happened the first couple years? Just saying. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a good fit or not. I mean, he's familiar with the West Coast, being the 49ers, and sure, Can he finally be the guy that unlocks the Super Saiyan Justin Herbert version? I don't know.
I mean, he made JJ McCarthy look like a halfway decent quarterback. So
they didn't throw the ball in the second half of the Penn State game.
Exactly.
He's going to take
future Vikings first round pick, JJ McCarthy, to you.
I will get a GUN and put it in my mouth if I see that man in a Viking uniform.
I'm so excited we get to see that live.
Probably the worst part, too, is that they're going to trade up the second overall and fucking do it. I know it.
We get to see Jimmy do that live when we live stream the draft.
What the people deserve.
Logan, do you have any comments on Harbaugh?
I think we summed that up.
Live event at the draft. Do you have any comments on that?
I like that this is completely a Harbaugh segment, and somehow we ended up on JJ McCarthy indirectly killing Jimmy.
It's not JJ's fault. It's Quessie's fault. If my GM, listen, if he goes anywhere else, I'm not dying. But I mean, Quessie, I swear, you will not cook if you draft this man.
I mean, I think it's a good fit. I mean, I don't know. I feel like a part of me feels like Harbaugh's style just plays better in like the college ranks, just kind of that more managerial type head coach. At the same time, I think the Chargers could really use that. I think they could really use a guy with a lot of experience to kind of be that kind of manager. But I think it's going to depend on kind of the staff he puts together. So we'll see. I think it will bring some pretty needed stability for Justin Herbert. And I guess just, hopefully they can just continue to build around him.
Well, I think also a big part of this hire for LA and Mr. Spanos was that program builder kind of thing that he's done throughout his career with the 49ers and with Michigan. The Chargers, what has it been, 3 years in LA?
Mm-hmm.
4? They are still not established. Like the Rams are the team in LA.
Yeah.
So I think that was also a big part of it is they needed someone to bring in fans. Like they need people to not have an away game at their home stadium. Like they've done almost every time they've played at SoFi. It has been a away team dominated fan base in the stands. So I think that's a big part of the Harbaugh hiring as well, getting the Chargers established in LA. So yeah. Panthers, keep pounding. Let's go. Not the guy that I necessarily wanted, but the Panthers have hired Bucs offensive coordinator Dave Canales as their head coach. 6-year deal for him. And I don't know. I mean, the Panthers have done this the last couple of guys, and it really hasn't been my top choice. Everyone else is saying he was a dark horse, like for this position. So is it going to work? I have no clue. I just hope that he brings in the good rest of his offensive staff. I believe Ajiro Evero is going to stick on the defensive side, which is much needed because Panthers defense was excellent this year. But we'll see. Can he get the most out of Bryce Young when Frank Reich couldn't?
They're going to bring back Baker in 2025.
No.
Gonna have a 1-year leap year, and then he's gonna be back with Dave Canales. No, but I actually really love this hire. Watching the Bucks offense this year, it was another one of those teams where it just was fun to watch that unit. And I think what he was able to do, in spite of that O-line having quite a lot of holes on it, was super impressive, to the point where, especially when they went on their kind of playoff run, I was like, why isn't Canales getting more looks? So I think it's a good hire. Time will tell. And I mean, that organization, I think, has much more problems to work through than just, the head coach. And I think those need to be ironed out if they're ever going to be successful. But I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. I think that, Canales could be the guy to turn that offense around, and especially help out Bryce Young.
I don't mind the hire. I just don't like the term. I'm getting a little too much of Matt Rule vibes.
I didn't want to go there, Jimmy.
I'm sorry. I had to bring it up. I think David Tepper finds his guys and then just signs them the contracts that are just way too long. I mean, I don't trust Tepper right now with this. And I don't trust Tepper to be patient, even with a 6-year contract. I mean, who knows how good Dave Canales is? I mean, this last year, that Tampa offense really, really showed a lot to me, especially in the second half. But yeah, I'm genuinely just a little concerned about the term, and I don't know if we'll see him finish it out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's tied to Bryce Young and how he does. But yeah, I mean, it's nice though that they did bring in someone that Dan Morgan has worked with. They worked together in Seattle for years. So it's nice that they already have that working relationship. And they kind of know what guys they want on the team. So again, it's going to be interesting. 33rd overall pick. That's Panthers' first pick. I've been doing a ton of mock drafts. It's interesting. I've been focusing on playmakers first, offensive line in the mid rounds. But obviously, it just, which tackles, if any, of the top 7 fall to 33, because some of the mocks I've been seeing, 7-8 tackles are in the first round. So, which is tying the record, I think, is 8. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I actually like the one trade I did one time, where I traded back 20 spots or 30 spots and picked up a first round pick plus 2 more picks this year. It's really solid trade, which Panthers need as many picks they can get. So, plus more capital for next year without a second round pick. And the last one this week, the Falcons have their guy hiring Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris to be their head coach, former interim head coach with the Falcons. He's very familiar with the NFC South, as he was the Bucs head coach for 3 seasons as well. The overall record, not great. I believe he's 17-31 with the Bucs, went 4-7 with the Falcons. But from everyone that I've heard, Raheem Morris is an awesome guy. He is a player's coach, and every defensive player that I've heard talk about him, they're like, dude, he is literally the best coach I've ever had. So it's interesting that the Falcons went with a defensive guy, though, when what they need improvement on is the offense. They need to find a quarterback. I guess their defense was worse than the offense probably, but it's interesting that they went with defense when they're probably going to draft a quarterback this year.
Yeah, I think that, the Falcons are a really interesting team. I really don't know what to do with them, because the way they're kind of built is that they have some really talented guys on both sides of the ball, but I wouldn't say either of their units are good. So that's what's interesting about it. I think it's going to be just, the success for them is going to be how well can Raheem Morris kind of raise the floor, I guess. Because I think if you do that, you have some of the talent there. You just need to kind of reduce some of the negatives. But yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to have to definitely decide what to do on quarterback. But yeah, I think it is a good hire.
Yeah, my big thing is, okay, what's Belichick going to do? Because I thought Belichick had 2 interviews with the Falcons. So, I mean, the only real jobs open right now are Washington and Seattle. So, where is Belichick going to go? Do you think Belichick's just not going to coach next year?
Nope. I do not think that Bill will have a head man job. He'll be in broadcasting or consulting somewhere. It's just the Falcons were it. The Falcons were the only team he interviewed with. And I think Seattle, I'm still going with Dan Quinn in Seattle. He's the most obvious pick there. And for Washington, I think I'm sticking with Bobby Slowick. I think the 49ers connection with Adam Peters is still my pick there. Both teams, though, however, said that they are not going to make a move until after this weekend's games. So that kind of points to saying that Seattle, I think, is possibly looking at Ben Johnson. I think could be a real possibility for the Seahawks. Washington, I'm not really sure who they would be looking at in terms of their head coach with the 4 teams here. Possibly Mike McDonald. I can't remember if he interviewed with them or not, but I could see Washington going with either of the Ravens guys.
I've also heard Ben Johnson. I hear they also kind of like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, I think another interesting one, everyone's talking about Bill Belichick, but Mike Vrabel, is he going to get one of the 2 left? I don't know. And then if he doesn't, would he take a DC spot somewhere? Because I'm sure if he is open to that, he'd be scooped up real quick, especially if Dan Quinn leaves. If Dan Quinn leaves, Mike Vrabel to Dallas, I think would be a home run.
That makes a lot of sense.
Couple of coordinator hirings. The Bengals, they have their Brian Callahan replacement internally, promoting quarterback coach Dan Pitcher to offensive coordinator. He was a hot candidate for OC. Many of the teams with OC openings interviewed him. It was him and their passing game coordinator, Zach Robinson. Those were, or not him. Who was their passing game coordinator? I can't remember. Anyways, but yeah, Dan Pitcher, the new OC in Cincy. And the Giants, they have their special teams coordinator hiring guy right across the building. Jets special teams assistant Michael Gabriel there for their special teams coordinator spot. All right, interviews for coordinator jobs. The Patriots offensive coordinator, new head coach Gerard Mayo there. They are looking at Rams passing game coordinator Zach Robinson and Lions passing game coordinator Tanner Engstrand. Raiders OC under new head coach Antonio Pierce. Former Bears offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. Rams passing game coordinator Zach Robinson. And Steelers quarterback coach Mike Sullivan. Saints offensive coordinator, Steelers quarterback coach Mike Sullivan, Rams passing game coordinator Zach Robinson. Steelers offensive coordinator, USC senior offensive analyst Cliff Kingsbury, Rams pass game coordinator Zach Robinson, Panthers offensive coordinator Thomas Brown, Texans quarterback coach Gerard Johnson. To be honest, really not excited about any of those guys. Zach Robinson would probably be my pick. Any Sean McVay guy will do. So I'd be down with Zach Robinson in Pittsburgh. For the Eagles offensive coordinator, USC senior offensive analyst Cliff Kingsbury, Texans quarterback coach Gerard Johnson, and my pick, the guy I've wanted on my teams for a long time, Chargers offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Please, Kellen, come to Philadelphia. I wanted him for the Panthers head coaching job. He hasn't gotten any head coaching interviews this offseason, but he will get offensive coordinator. He will get head coaching jobs next season when he propels the Eagles to the Super Bowl and Jalen Hurts. It's okay, Jimmy. They'll beat the Vikings in the NFC Championship game again.
Stop. Shut your mouth.
And Kirk Cousins will win Comeback Player of the Year.
Yes. Woo! That's the trophy that really matters.
Titans defensive coordinator under Brian Callahan. Ravens defensive backs coach Denard Wilson. Browns offensive coordinator. Chargers offensive coordinator Kellen Moore and former Bills offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. The Bears defensive coordinator, here it is, Logan. They are interviewing former Packers defensive coordinator Joe Barry. Yes. And Bills assistant head coach / D-line coach Eric Washington.
The obvious pick is Joe Barry.
Now we just need Eberflus to get fired mid-season. I mean, it's lining up, guys.
Gotta keep it.
You know who they're gonna hire as their new head coach? Luke Getsy. It's gonna be beautiful.
The Packers defensive coordinator. They are interviewing former Chargers head coach Brandon Staley and Broncos defensive backs coach Christian Parker. Parker's a hot one, 32 years old. He'd be one of the youngest coordinators in the league if hired. He's got a couple defensive coordinator interviews this cycle. But Staley, though, how do you feel about either of those guys? And one that has been reported, former Wisconsin defensive coordinator Jim Leonard also reportedly involved as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Leonard, obviously, for the story, and it's a total homer thing. But I mean, those were like elite defenses at Wisco. The question is, can that translate? I don't know. Plus, he's kind of been in like a analyst role for the past couple of years, I think. So that's kind of a question mark. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the Staley thing, because he's the first to officially interview. Rob Demovsky, who's the ESPN beat reporter for the Packers, said that he's not a front runner. So, but why would he get the first interview then? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The last time he was DC, he was coaching an elite defense. But the problem is that elite defense also had prime Aaron Donald and prime Jalen Ramsey, and a lot of good other like solid to good like starters. So yeah, I don't know. Mixed feelings. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, Leonard last season, senior football analyst with Coach Bielema there in Illinois. For the Rams defensive coordinator, trying to find Raheem Morris's replacement, former Chargers head coach Brandon Staley, trying to come home. He's been in LA for the last 10 years or something like that, between the Rams and the Chargers, and why not go back across the building to the Rams side of it? I mean, he knows the defense, and the Bucks offensive coordinator filling the shoes of Canales there. They're looking at Rams pass game coordinator Zach Robinson and former Bills offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. And the Panthers, Dave Canales interviewing his first candidate for his offensive coordinator. It's former Colts offensive coordinator Marcus Brady. Interesting name we haven't heard of this cycle yet. And for the GM carousel, the Raiders, Antonio Pierce has his GM. The Raiders hired former Chargers GM Tom Telesco as their GM. So that one was kind of a weird move, I thought. I wasn't really that big of a fan. Telesco kind of really got stale in the end of his run in San Diego and LA. The draft picks just were not hitting at the end of his tenure, and that's why he was out in LA. So I don't know. We'll see if he can work it in Vegas. And for the Chargers GM job with Jim Harbaugh, they interviewed Ravens Director of Player Personnel Joe Ortiz and Giants Assistant GM Brandon Brown. I have to think Ortiz is the favorite in LA. The Harbaugh connection with his brother. I mean, all he's got to do is call John up and what's the word on Joe? So it's that easy, But yeah, I think easily that connection. Plus, I mean, the Ravens personnel department is just a boatload of former future GMs. So under what was Ozzie Newsome, Ozzie's still in the building, but now Eric DeCosta there. IR return. Speaking of the Ravens, they activated tight end Mark Andrews off of IR. He will play this weekend, officially returning from his what was it again? Torn meniscus or something like that? I don't remember.
I thought it was something more Achilles related.
Oh yeah, ankle. Yeah, ankle ligament tear.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Is someone looking it up?
I'm looking it up right now.
But yeah, I mean, major piece. It'll be interesting to see how many snaps he plays. With how well Isaiah Likely has been playing, don't really have to force him into a full game of snaps. So,
oh, here it is. Here it is. It was a. Come on, get out of my way, ads. Where were you? I just saw you. The injury was a cracked fibula and ligament damage in his right ankle.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. I got the tibia part.
Ins and outs this weekend. The 49ers, good news for them. Wide receiver Deebo Samuel dealing with a shoulder injury. He will play. He is good to go off the injury report. For the opposing team, Lions center Frank Ragnow, ankle, toe, knee, and back injuries, and he will play.
Dude got rolled on like 3 separate times last week.
He sprained his ankle and his knee last week
in the same play.
Two different, but yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the same.
No, but the man is a beast, and he will be out there against Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave, Javon Kinlaw. Also with Detroit, rookie tight end Sam Laporta with his knee injury, he's going to play as well. Had a good game last week. However, guard Jonah Jackson and wide receiver Khalif Raymond, both with knee injuries, they are both out. For the AFC title game, the Chiefs, big loss. Guard Joe Tooney with a pec strain. He is out. Probably their best offensive lineman they have. So he is not going to play against the Ravens defense. Running back Isaiah Pacheco with a toe injury. Linebacker Willie Gay and wide receiver Kadarius Toney, they are all questionable. Pacheco's going to play, though, they said. And then for the Ravens, just one of note, corner Marlon Humphrey has been out the last couple, dealing with a calf injury. He is officially questionable. So possibly getting Humphrey and Andrews back for the AFC Championship game. couple random signings that no one really cares about except for me. But the Patriots, they signed former Panthers offensive lineman Michael Jordan. Yeah, he's back. He's back.
Scared of LeBron. No.
Played for the Panthers in 2022. He was on a practice squad last year with someone else. And the Browns, they signed Rams kicker Lucas Haversick to a reserve futures deal. So keeping that kicking game strong in Cleveland. It's official, Jimmy. Pick standings. You're the winner, sir.
Woo!
Logan let you have it.
Logan, man. Tough week.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
bro.
called way too many shots.
It's not
last
bad.
week.
It's not bad. You were not here to see me go 0-6 on wild card weekend.
It was an immaculate lack of showing.
So,
Listen,
yeah.
man, I came into this podcast as a rookie. I know I wasn't going to do well in college, but man, NFL, I thrived, you know. So if any big networks are looking for a good analyst that actually knows what the fuck he's talking about, give me a call because I'm so fucking smart. And hey, any front office that needs someone that's smarter than their guys that'll take a fraction of the salary, I'm also here.
Yeah, Jimmy up 5
Nice.
with 3 games left. So he is a regular season champion, clinched the playoff championship as well. Good job, sir.
I had to make up for my poor college performance.
I got you. I got you.
Oh, man, I have so many people to thank. I'd like to thank my mom, my dad. Oh, they're pulling me off stage. Shit. Oh, fuck.
But yeah, so last week, Logan O lost his only lone wolf, the Packers, against the Niners. I got my only lone wolf right, the Lions over the Bucks. Jimmy, you got both ears right. The Ravens over the Texans and the Chiefs over the Bills. So here we go. Conference championship time on Sunday. AFC
like
championship. The Chiefs at the Ravens. Ravens getting 4 points at home. I love it. I mean, I don't want either of these teams to win. I don't want just drop a bomb on Baltimore. And
whoa, that's domestic terrorism. Hey, I can make, ending myself jokes, but no terrorism on my podcast.
We don't need either of these teams to be in the Super Bowl. Let's just give the NFC champion the trophy. Just but yeah, no, the Ravens are gonna win. I mean, the Chiefs. This is gonna be a defensive game, I think. Anyways, I don't know. I mean, you got the quarterbacks, but this is, I believe. Actually, no, the Browns I think were number 1 total defense. Can't really remember, but anyways, these two with the Browns, those are the top 3 defenses in the league this year. So I don't know if that means defensive performance, but that's what I would go with anyways.
Yeah. For me, when it came to making this pick, when I see these two teams, the Chiefs and the Ravens just feel like an upgraded version of the Chiefs. Both these teams, I think their weaknesses is wide receiver, but both of these teams have a rookie wide receiver with the number 4 that have really just been tearing it up. And with Mark Andrews coming back, you got equivalent tight end play, similar play from linebackers and defensive backs. To me, and you look at QBs, I think Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes have very similar skill sets. I think the only difference to me is that when Mahomes scrambles, he tends to stay behind the line of scrimmage and try to see something develop downfield. But when Lamar scrambles, he's like, oh, I'm going. I see yards. I'm going to take them. I'm not going to wait. That's the only difference. To me, this game comes down to the trenches. Like, whose offensive line is going to hold up more? And with Tooney being out, I really think that gives a lot of credence to Baltimore. I think Baltimore is going to do a lot better at getting Mahomes, and I think Baltimore is going to do a lot better at protecting Lamar. So again, I think Ravens are just an upgraded version of the Chiefs, and I think also having home field advantage is great.
Justin Matabike is doing this all day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm so excited for this game, man. There's so many high level chess matches being played here. You got Andy Reid versus Mike McDonald, and you got Spags versus Todd Monken. I'm just super excited to see these two teams clash. I think it's going to be a super even game. I think these are pretty two evenly matched teams. I think the Ravens have a slight advantage in terms of personnel. So that's where I went. But honestly, I picked them because they're the team I kind of want to see. I'm sick of seeing KC in the Super Bowl. I want to see Lamar get in the big game and see what he can do. So,
yeah, again, I hate both these teams. I hate both quarterbacks, and I don't really want either to win. But yeah,
that's how I feel with the next one.
Also, I think the key matchup where the Ravens are going to win offensively is the Chiefs linebackers. Willie Gay questionable. They do have Nick Bolton, who is healthy, but if Willie Gay's not 100, that puts Drew Tranquil in next to Nick Bolton, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to hold up against Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely in the middle of the field. So I think that's where Todd Monken should be focusing his efforts on, and I think that's where they can really exploit the Chiefs defense. Total is 44.5. I like the under. defense. 3 p.m. on CBS. And it's the title game. James O'Malley.
James probably going to get one last one over on us here.
One last one. I guess since I'm the lone wolf, I picked the 49ers. I will start. Mm-hmm. I kind of had the same thought in this game as I did with the Ravens-Chiefs game. I think these teams are super similar. I just think the 49ers are just an upgraded version. I like Gibbs and Montgomery a lot, but holy shit, CMC. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown and, Williams. No, it's not Williams.
Jameson Williams.
It is Jameson Williams from the Lions. I just like Ayuk and Debo a lot more. I know Debo is kind of not healthy, but I still think he'll probably play. And same tight end. I like Laporta a lot. I think Kittle's a lot better. I think there
are two Iowans there.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Tight end school over there. I think the one thing on offense, I do give Lions a bit of a boost. I think their offensive line is better. I like Trent Williams, but I think the rest of the line of 49ers is kind of iffy. I really do like the Lions offensive line, even with Ragnow obviously not being 100%. So, I mean, again, I think offensively, 49ers are just an upgraded version of Lions. Similar defensively, I like Aiden Hutchinson, but I mean, holy shit, Nick Bosa. And again, it's going to be a mirror. Like these teams are facing a mirror of themselves, but again, like the Ravens against the Chiefs, I think the 49ers are just an upgraded version, and I think they're ready to go.
Yeah, I think one thing you could add to that too is that they're a more experienced maybe version, a more progressed version. They got a lot of dudes on there with a lot of vet experience. So
yeah. And hey, you look at Kyle Shanahan. He's been to how many NFC Championship games? 3 or 4.
3, I think.
And then 1 Super Bowl as an OC, 1 Super Bowl as a head coach of these 49ers. Still trying to get that ring. I think this 49ers team is going to be super motivated, and they're at home. I don't know what the weather's going to be like, but if it's not raining like it was previously, I think they just play a lot better.
It will not be, as far as I know.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm going with the Lions because that's the only team left that I actually like. But also, I think that the lack of experience helps Detroit. I think that it's perfect. This is like 2017 Eagles type shit. No one expected the Lions to be here. That's what Dan Campbell's telling them all week. No one expects you to win this game. The damn 7.5-point favorites over there. So the Lions can play as free as they want because, yeah, I mean, everyone expects the 49ers to win. And I think what we've seen on Brock Purdy's side is not great. He has not been elite in the playoffs. He made some very questionable throws against the Packers last week that should have turned into interceptions. And what we've seen from the Lions defense is that they don't drop them like the Packers dropped theirs. The Lions catch those balls. So I think the defense, Brock Purdy's, like I said, I don't think the 49ers are going to be loose at all. Like, I think they are going to be clenching the whole time to not make the mistake against a team that, if you make a mistake against, will take full advantage. And if the Lions get the momentum in this game, it's over. Because once they get the momentum, they feed off it. And it fuels the whole team. Dan Campbell gets rosy red throughout his face. And, they'll go on to their first ever Super Bowl appearance. And it is, Jimmy, by the way, weather-wise, it's going to be beautiful. High of 73.
Ooh.
Probably at night, let's see what we got. Partly cloudy, low of 53.
Ooh, yeah.
With only 4-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh, yeah. I think that gives the 49ers a huge advantage. I do agree. I think 49ers are going to come out stiff, but I give a lot of credence to both not playing for a week because of winning the bye and just the weather just being very unpredictable last week. I think that showed a lot of just like stiffness there. But I think that they're going to get a lot of that like stiff, tense play. I think they got it out with the Packers. I think you might see some in this week, maybe in the first quarter, maybe in the first drive or two. But I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have them focused. And Kyle Shanahan's got that monkey off the back. He finally won a game coming back in the fourth quarter. He's got that monkey off his back. So I struggle to pick against the 49ers. I think they had their one bad game, and they threw it behind them. It's in the rearview mirror, and they're going to have better weather. They're going to be more prepared, and I think they're ready to go.
I also talked about that matchup, Justin Madubuike against the backup guard, filling in for Joe Thuney. There's not a backup on the 49ers, but Aiden Hutchinson against Colton McKivitz at right tackle, I think, is a beast of a matchup for the Lions. So,
Maybe that might have that. Definitely does seem like a double team kind of situation. Aiden Hutchinson's going to just do a bunch of spin moves, like he's a Bay of Blade out there.
He continues to be the hottest defensive end pass rusher in the entire playoffs, even going back into the last couple of regular season. He has, again, I never checked the stats, but he has like 8 sacks in his last 4 games. So
I think this will definitely be the best game. I know the odds say this game is supposed to be more of a blowout than the other one, but I genuinely think this is going to be the best conference championship game of the week. Of Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be rainy in Baltimore. 80% chance of rain with 10 to 15 mile an hour winds.
Yeah.
With it's gonna be like right around 50. 51.5 is the total here.
I'm picking over.
I like the over.
Yeah, come on. I think we're going to get opposite games. You're going to see in the East Coast, you're going to get a muddy, crappy game, very defensive minded. Whoever scores, you covet that score. Here, I think you're going to get a gun show. It's going to be fun.
6:30 on Fox. And that's it. That wraps up Conference Championship show Friday. Next Friday, we'll be back talking Senior Bowl and technically Pro Bowl as well. But I hate the Pro Bowl how it is now. So Senior Bowl we will talk about. I'm sure Logan and I will have a lot to talk about with the Senior Bowl. Who we like, who we're looking to see, who we liked in the practices during the week if we get a chance to catch those. But, of course, next Friday we'll be back. There will not be recaps, but there will be a Senior Bowl preview, and we'll probably talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl as well as all your news around the league. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X, FAA_bets on X as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. Check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, TikTok as well at Football Addicts Anon. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see y'all back on Monday.